We're live.
All right, good evening, everybody. It is 5:35 p.m. This is the Bangor City Council Business and Economic Development Committee. I am the chair of the committee, Councillor Leonard. Around the table, committee members, we have Councillor Fish, Councillor Carson, Councillor Falloon, Councillor Mallard. We are also joined by Councillor Chair Hawes. We're joined by Councillor Dean, Councillor Beck, and we have our Economic Development Director, Ann Krieg, join us at the table. We're basically going to start off the discussion, just going over how this committee works, basically. And Ann, I won't step on your toes if you want to take it away.
All right, go ahead. I just wanted to, Ann Krieg, Director of Community and Economic Development. We are department staffs this committee. We also provide support to the airport for items that they need to bring to you as well. So the department has 4 divisions: code, community development, economic development, and planning. Our code office is the building code, sign codes, pretty much every code you can think of, zoning, land use, and the enforcement of that. They don't, their staff doesn't need to come to this committee too often. Most of the time it's for, a dangerous building. If a building has been deemed dangerous, it needs to come before the city council before we can demolish it. So, sort of that public safety, public health issue with that. So that comes through you, before we take action. So things like that we'll bring to you. As again, just with any other committee, anything that has to go to full council comes to committee first. And since a dangerous building goes to full council, it comes to you first. The community development division, they primarily manage the funds from the community development block grant program. You get about $850,000 plus or minus a year from that program. There's an action plan that is prepared by staff for your review and approval. They sort of towards the end of the fiscal year to get ready for the next year of how those funds will be spent. There's also a 5-year consolidated plan that staff is working on right now. And so that will be brought to you soon. And that's sort of that overall, it's sort of like the comprehensive plan. It's that overall look at what are we really trying to accomplish over the next 5 years with the Community Development Block Grant Program. So those planning projects and larger expenditures of the Block Grant Program come through you and ultimately to the full council for approval. Pretty much any planning document needs to go to you, comprehensive plan. I'll just go right into the planning division. So comprehensive plan, the climate action plan. We actually have a page on the city's website that's just for city plans. So all of those plans that are on that page has gone through you through this committee for the most part, and then to full council. So the planning division also is the regulatory arm of the department. They work and provide staff support with the planning board and Historic Preservation Commission. So that keeps staff very busy. The good news is that the planning board is busy with applications right now. So, and then the other division is economic development, and their focus is on a lot of things, but basically they follow the some of the recommendations that were in the economic development strategy. Right before we started the comprehensive plan, we worked on an economic development strategy with a consultant that had a series of recommendations, most of which is, you're a wonderful city, you need to tell the tale of how great a city you are. And that's basically what our staff does. They're out there in the community, going to community events, being part of things, working with existing businesses as well as new businesses. We created a position that the city council a few years ago had asked us to do that does business development, business retention And so that staff person focuses his time on that. So we sort of have a two-pronged approach, with that outreach, but also working with the properties that we have, working with the airport. We have something called the Foreign Trade Zone that at your next meeting, your first meeting in December, you're going to hear more about what's happening with the Foreign Trade Zone and also all of the other activities in economic development. Most notably is working on the Central Kitchen project, which is at 50 Cleveland Street, which is the old Officers Club. We're really excited about that project moving forward. That's a project that was started, I think, in 2016. So it's been 10 years in the making, and we're really excited that that's moving forward. So the economic development projects that come to you are the sale. Most of it is the negotiation of leases and sale of property that has to go to full council. So again, it comes to you first. That is an item that's subject to executive session because under the statute, there is a provision for economic development, but specifically for negotiation of leases or land that the city owns. And what happens is you'll go in executive session to hear from staff on that, and then you come out of executive session and take any action or no action as you deem fit. So that's a very quick overview. Oh, and there's also a lot of other projects that we work on. Livable Communities Committee. I do a lot of work with the downtown as part of my day, and tourism development. We're seeing a huge increase in the number of days of stays. Destination New England said that about 4 years ago, the average stay was 2 nights in Bangor, and now it's up to 4 nights. So, people are staying here longer. So we want to make sure, that they're getting the best experience we can. Where there's a wonderful group of people, including Hassan and staff and the downtown partnership that work together on those issues with the chamber as well. So the other big project that we're working on is a housing project at Grandview. That is the old nursery lot. That is sort of behind if you're going up Broadway and you see the Hannaford. So behind the Hannaford off of Grandview is an 11-acre parcel that we're working on placing housing there with Developers Collaborative out of Portland. We just finished the development agreement that the council previously approved. So we're moving forward with the applicant now to be an applicant with the planning board. So that's another project that's been a couple of years in the making. So we're happy to see that move forward. And that's all part of the housing production plan, which is another plan that came through this group to council of giving us recommendations to try to create more housing. In the past few years, actually, I started here in 2019 and started working on a housing plan that was done in 2018. So, housing has been in the forefront with the council for a while now. So, so we do make that a priority as part of our work. That's all I got.
Okay. Any questions for Ann at all? I know that was a lot of an overview.
I know.
There are no questions. I do want to just state that this is probably going to be a very resource heavy year. I mean, just between the land development code rewrite and all the multiple special projects, as exciting as they are, it's going to take a lot of time and energy on this committee. So if councilors have any concerns, please raise them early beforehand, just to give the council and also the planning board time to respond to those concerns. That way we don't have any last minute hiccups that occur. We want to try to have this be as smooth as possible. And it's also going to help with transparency as well. That's all I really have, unless there's,
When you finish, I have.
No, I'm done. You can go half an hour.
I'm just curious, under the audit, there were some questions about I don't remember the initials, but want some of the funds that are coming in, whether we were properly identifying things at the end. Are we up to date on those now? I
With
think
the block grants?
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, we've been working with, well, we were working with HUD staff when we had HUD staff, on some of those procedures, and those have been changed internally.
now some time ago, I asked for a list of all the groups that we are members of, and do you happen to have that?
I don't, but we can make that as an agenda item, for your next meeting. By groups, what do you mean by that?
Well, anyone that uses our name, for instance, like Green Drinks, like I've been looking over things from the downtown partnership, and a partnership usually means you have more than one person involved. It appears the partnership is the only one identified in most of their publications. The city isn't even mentioned. And since we provide, 90% of that funding, I think we ought to have a recognition somewhere along the line.
Okay. Any other questions for the committee? Councilor Beck?
Not a member of the committee, but how often do we do the consolidated plan?
5 years.
Every 5 years, okay. And then the comprehensive plan, how often do we have to do that?
Typically, the state says 10 years. I think they gave us actually an extra year, didn't they? Or I think it's up. I mean, it's typically 10 years. Yeah.
The reason I ask, because there was a great presentation that was given to this committee, I want to say it was 2 years ago, that kind of gave an update about where everything was with it. I think 50 policies that where they were with the implementation.
Yeah, we're planning on that for a future agenda item.
There you go.
Yeah,
Answers that.
yeah, on your agenda. That's the other thing on your agendas. We do put at the bottom upcoming items, and we are gonna give an update on the comprehensive plan implementation. Yeah.
Unless there are any more questions, I think we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is going to be covering grant recommendations for the Commission of Cultural Development. And we have a few different recommended awards, but I'll let you take it, Anne.
No, that's okay. I'll just briefly go through them from the memo. This is a program that the commission has been doing. I don't know how many years. It's been doing as long as I've been here. So this is a grant program where twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, for the arts and cultural community of Bangor to be able to seek extra funds for small projects, programming, and the like, and actually even to individual artists as well. For often it's for things that are going to be at the Zillman. So it's been a really great way for the city to support arts and culture and Bangor, and part of the role of the Commission on Cultural Development is to make a recommendation to you that ultimately the full council accepts or rejects, and on this grant program. So the first recommendation is $1,500 for the Bangor Arts Collaborative to advertise and buy supplies and materials for their festival on December 13th, as well as the holiday kickoff party. And the Bangor Symphony Orchestra has requested $3,000, the expansion of the music and wellness program with a series of free chamber music concerts. The Penobscot Theater Company has requested $2,500 for the production of 2 of John Cariani's plays, Almost Maine and Darker the Night, Brighter the Stars. The Robinson Ballet has asked for $1,500 for the support of the production of play to be held May 16th and 17th at the Gracie Theater in Bangor. And then some theater company has requested $2,000 for the purchase and installation of new LED stage lighting equipment. So the 5 grants would total $10,500. leaving $9,581 in funds for the remainder of the year, which would go to the spring grants.
Yes, Councilor Miller.
I noticed that most of these lists, they all show their 501(c) application, or their granting of the 501(c). But I don't see any 990, so we don't really know if these are current. You check to see if they have current?
We can, I mean, typically we accept that they are, but we could double check that absolutely.
Well, now under the new federal law, they're required to submit that, and after 3 years, they're denied their 501(c) status. So it would be nice to
Yeah.
keep up to date on that. The other question I have is, do we normally buy fixed assets for groups, like the lighting?
The lighting, I'm trying to think, most of the time it is programming or, setup of installation of an art piece at the Zillman, like I was saying. So this is a different request than normal, yes.
I have an issue with buying fixed assets for people. I mean, I have no problem with furnishing admission to things for the community, but I don't see the real community benefit in lighting.
If you had a Councilor Miller.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm all done.
Okay.
I think.
Is the committee comfortable with the remaining balance of $9,581?
I mean, that's typically, they try to split the funds that you provide to them, between the fall and the spring with some modification. Like, for example, if the committee did not want to fund this particular program, that $2,000 would just go to add to the spring grant program.
Okay.
It doesn't go away. In other words, it just goes into the spring.
Yeah, and Councilor Melly, you mentioned my reporting standardizations. Okay. Are there any other questions that anyone had for the committee? Councilor Beck?
I'm curious how competitive, like how many out of, the one we were accepting, how many applicants did they get for this period?
I believe this was the number of applications that were received this year. I don't think they rejected any applications.
Councilor Bloom?
Just because I'm new to this committee as well, can you just give me a little bit of history of this money? And this comes from the general fund, and is this like the approximate amount every year is $20,000 roughly? And so that just gets set aside for this purpose. And okay.
Yeah. This is part of the budget process. They typically, in the past, you've given $20,000 for grants and then additional funds for the commission support of October. We'll do sort of an event and an award and some marketing with those funds, but those are separate from a separate line item.
May I ask a general question?
Yes, Councilor Melly?
I have lots of questions. I think it was the first item, the authors collaboration. Is it safe for me to assume, which I know it probably isn't, but to ask, I noticed they're serving alcohol at this. I assume we're not paying for it.
No, that's correct.
Because I have an issue with serving alcohol at city functions, and this would be a case where I think it's probably inappropriate. And I know it's an invited event, but it just leaves we're trying to encourage people to get off substance abuse, and alcohol is a substance that's abused a lot. And I think we have to be careful where we support it.
Mhm.
If I can just add, and like all valid concerns, the Authors Collaborative, it's very, very successful event, and it's only growing. So there's going to be potentially avenues of growth where it might lead off to something else that's more less authory. If I might be a bit opaque with that. I don't like the idea of limiting what this group wants to do. If they are attracting more people into the area, and as long as we're not paying for anything like that, I don't really like to micromanage and try to do, but again, your comments are very well heard.
Well, it's hard to have a children's section of the library and we're serving drinks same time. We're not on this case, but I would not hope that that took place.
Unless there's any other questions, I just wanted to say that the way I've always looked at the Commission of Cultural Development is making sure that the downtown's activated, making sure that we boost tourism and cultural branding. Any investment that we can do on our culture pays dividends on the amount of economic surplus that the city sees. So we're always going to get a bang buck when we invest into our own culture. I mean, case in point, the Wabanaki Cultural Center. That's been absolutely immensely valuable to the city, a really great investment to the city. I know we have to make a motion on this item, so can I get a motion on this item? To make a recommendation on the grants?
Motion that we recommend grants as suggested.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Unless doubted, that will move on.
I'll know.
Oh, okay. I guess we'll need a roll call vote.
And only because I don't think we need to be providing fixed assets for people.
Sure thing. So we'll do a roll call vote then. Councilor Fish,
Yes.
Councilor Carson,
Yes.
Councilor Floon,
Yes.
Councilor Mallon,
No,
and I will be a yes. Okay. Move on to the fun stuff, land development code changes.
A planning officer on Nicolay. Yep. Nice to meet visit your name. So I'll be talking to you about a proposed code change. But first, just we'll give you a quick summary of the process that we do for code changes. I know you have the details in your text here, but just a quick brief is that for proposed land development code changes, we like to bring those to the committee for you to give your thoughts and feedback before we take a full official proposal through the process. We also generally take this to planning board as well, so we can get their thoughts. And then after we've reviewed that, we'll bring forward official language, and that will go to council for a first reading. And that's where you refer these to the planning board. It then goes to planning board for their review. And that's the formal public hearing where we send out an ad. We send out notices to abutting property owners within 100 feet of the property. And then also, when they do review that, they take a vote on whether to recommend the change to council. And if they deny it, then it requires a 2/3 vote of council. If it's approved, only a majority needs, the council needs to vote. After that, it goes to you for second reading and your formal vote on it. So council does have the final say on land development code changes. And in our review and the planning board's review, we're supposed to look at whether the changes do align with the comprehensive plan. That's our guiding document for our work. So the change that I'm bringing to you is to change our definitions of major and minor arterial street. Currently we have for major arterials, it's, you know, the ones you commonly think of like Broadway, Hammond Street, Main Street. These are streets where we have average daily traffic counts for over 10,000 vehicles and contain more than 2 or more lanes, or more than 2 lanes in some sections. Minor arterials are somewhat smaller, may not have more than 2 lanes at all. And they kind of connect the major arterials. So what we're proposing is to take Ohio Street from minor arterial to major arterial. And also State Street is listed for some reason as both a major and minor arterial, even though it's very clearly a major arterial. For Ohio Street, that street has traffic count very close to 1,000 and does have more than 2 lanes in some sections. It also does serve a large geographic area. Additionally, we have quite a few land uses that are limited to major arterials, and some of those do exist on Ohio Street. So things like working farms, places of worship, nursing homes, those are all there. But because they're limited to major arterials, that makes them a legal nonconformity when they are located on Ohio Street. So that can cause issues for expansion and things like that. And we do also feel that this aligns with the comprehensive plan. So we're just proposing to move Ohio Street to major arterial in that definition, and then just remove State Street from minor arterial. So that's the gist.
Any questions for staff, Counselor Dean?
Yes, I was wondering if we do move Ohio Street to a major arterial, does that potentially allow us to get more DOT funding? Does it benefit us by having it be more of a major?
I don't think so, because this is really just a zoning question. I think that would be a whole separate thing, you know, when DOT defines a major arterial. This really just influences what land uses can go on the road, along the road, so.
Counselor Fish?
Do we have an idea how many properties this would affect that might make them from conforming now as being a minor to, if we change it to a major, how many properties would then be considered non-conforming?
I don't have that number. We could get a rough estimate for you. There may be cases where we don't exactly know the use, but we could tell, like working farms, places of worship, nursing homes. So we could get a rough estimate if you'd like one.
Be helpful. And if they're non-conforming without getting into the weeds of the code, how would that hurt possibly moving forward for those properties that would become non-conforming? What would be the negative impact?
Mainly expansion. If they need to expand at all, we can't expand non-conformities. That's the main thing. So we have had that issue come up before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be good for us to know how many properties that might affect. Thank you.
I have a couple questions, but when you're ready.
Okay.
Are you aware of any pending projects that this might affect?
There's at least one, possibly two that would be affected.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that later. So you covered my other question. That's all I had for you. Yes, Councilor Fish.
Follow up on Councilor Leonard's comment. I think it would be good to know what those projects would be and how that would affect them.
Okay, I can tell you the one for sure is someone who wants to put a recreation center along Ohio Street. So we had recently made the text change to allow recreation centers on major arterials only. And somebody wants to put one on Ohio, and it would be shared with the Penobscot Christian School. So they would have a partnership, but they can't do that now with the current language. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this topic, Councilor Dean?
Are we saying that by moving it to a major arterial, there would be more or less non-conformity?
Fewer non-conformities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, do we have non-conformities on the minor arterial?
Major. No, not minor, because we don't really limit things to minor arterials. We really just limit some things to major arterials. So I wouldn't say there's non-conformities on the minor.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Councilor Mass.
So what you're saying is there's no non-conformities on the minor arterials?
I won't say there's no non-conformity, period, but there's no non-conformity because that are related to.
So by making it a major, do you create more?
No, because we don't currently limit things to being on a minor arterial.
Right, so you're giving them more, they have more leeway on a minor than they do on a major. Is that what I understand?
No. So just to give you an example, saying some uses in certain zones are limited to being only on major arterials. They can't be anywhere else. So because Ohio Street is currently a minor arterial, it's not major, some of these uses aren't allowed to be on Ohio, even though they exist there already. So like places of worship and things like that.
Oh, I thought you said that there were fewer restrictions on minor as opposed to major.
Oh, no, I meant there were, I think what I meant was there were fewer nonconformities. If I'm remembering the question.
Okay, that's fine. I just was confused.
So we're gonna be bringing some non-conforming uses into conformity with this change. Yeah,
Well, they're grandfathered now, probably.
non-conforming, yes.
Yeah.
Councilor Beck?
And I'm assuming that these non-conforming properties were either they had already existed and then the limitation was placed later and they kind of got grandfathered in, so it wasn't like they just
Right.
went and did this in spite of.
Oh, yeah, no, they're
Okay.
non-complying, they're non-conforming. Non-conforming means you have those protections, because
Okay.
you were once conforming.
Did have one question. Could the reclassification unintentionally increase traffic or develop intensity in neighborhoods that might resist said,
About Ohio Street in the area, it covers, and these uses would only be along the road, so it wouldn't really be in neighborhoods exactly. I don't think that it would really have that impact as far as impacting the neighbors. I mean, some of these uses do have higher traffic counts, but they're also in most cases conditional uses. And when the planning board looks at conditional uses, they have to take into account the traffic impact. So, and they have the discretion to deny that, you know, if it's gonna have a negative impact. And with conditional uses, they also have to look at the impact on the neighbor, so.
any other feedback at this time? Okay. Unless staff, you have anything else you'd like to add?
That's it.
So we'll just come back with the number of properties affected.
Okay. So with that said, if I can get a motion to go into executive session, I will take it. Councilor Fish?
That we go into executive session, MRSA 4066C, disposition of real property of economic development, which we have one item.
You get a second?
Good answer.
Do you want to make the audience leave and let council stay?
Oh, it's up to you, whatever's easier for you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
The benefits of being counselors?
So Councilor Mallard,
Yes.
Councilor Fish?
Yes.
Councilor Saloon?
Yeah.
Councilor Carson? Yeah. I'll be a yes. We are in executive session.
You guys are good.
That's for advancing,
All
right?
right, you're
Yeah.
on.
So we're live?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be looking for a motion if anyone would like to.
Council Chair Leonard, I'd like to make a motion that this committee approve in advance this purchase to the full city council meeting on November 24th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Unless doubted, this will move on. And unless I'm mistaken, that is the last agenda item for this evening. The time is 6:24 p.m. Stay tuned.